All right, so let's talk about sex and aging. Okay. I kind of just hopped across a lot of things that might be going on in younger adulthood, like pregnancy and stuff, because we covered that in another chapter. So we'll leap forward to menopause. Interesting capital S at the end of causes. If only I didn't type my own PowerPoints, I could blame someone else. Menopause. Meno means month and pause means pause. So in menopause, you're going to stop having your monthly cycles. What causes menopause is usually for most women just natural age-related hormone decline. It's just like how puberty instigated the onset of hormones. Menopause, reverses that process, and the feedback loop that had been going on between the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, the ovaries, starts to wind down. And it's usually based on, just normal aging for most women. For some women, if they've had a hysterectomy where their ovaries got removed or their uterus got removed, they will be experiencing menopause. You've got to lose your ovaries to actually go into menopause. Your ovaries need to not be functioning anymore. Chemotherapy or radiation can trigger menopause because it can affect the function of the ovaries. So that can also trigger it. And then primary ovarian insufficiency, where the ovaries are not releasing the hormones that they should. So these are things that can cause menopause. The natural age-related ones are what I'm going to focus on. The other three can happen at any age, and usually the hysterectomy, the chemotherapy, the primary ovarian insufficiency will be treated with hormones, oral hormones or patches or something like that, whereas age-related hormone decline is not automatically treated. It's a normal stage of life. So, symptoms of menopause. It's a pretty good diagram. Now, the good news is most people don't experience all of these symptoms. So, there's a lot of stuff that is possible. It's kind of like premenstrual syndrome that we talked about before, that there are a lot of things that you can have. Most people only have a few of these. Really common ones worldwide would be hot flashes, where the person, or night sweats, where the person just gets really super hot and then not. You can get flushing, your skin turns red, stuff like that. Other things that are not necessarily universal would be things like irritability and difficulty concentrating. Some of these changes, soreness, stiffness, those are things that might have to do with aging. So it's hard to parse out which ones are a function of reduction in hormones and which ones are just a function of aging. So what can we do as a person goes into menopause? Well, a lot of people have been using hormone replacement therapy since like the 1980s. And you'll notice a lot of these look like birth control pills. The big difference is the quantity of hormones present and the fact that you take the same thing all the time. You don't take placebos like you do with birth control pills. There are patches, there are creams, there are all sorts of things that can provide estrogen in different ways of delivering to try and sort of reduce the vaginal dryness, or that will help with hot flashes or other symptoms. There are natural remedies like research has shown that yoga and other kind of meditative things can really help to stave off some of the irritability and poor concentration, back pain, things that women complain about. These kinds of treatments can really help. And then there are things that you can rub on your skin or take as a supplement that are just natural remedies that may help to alleviate certain symptoms. What about men? Do men go into menopause, or as we like to call it, menopause? Men do experience a decline in testosterone with age. So you see, men are at their peak testosterone levels at about age 20. It stays pretty stable into about age 30, and then it just starts a slow decline over the period of middle adulthood until, in older age, you're experiencing about a third the level of testosterone that you had when you were at your peak. That's a huge difference from what women experience, which is like a cliff of drop off of estrogen. I found this little cartoon they are recommending some kind of treatment for male menopause. I don't know how many of these things are attributable to menopause and how many of these things are attributable to age. I mean, tiredness. I mean, less energy. I don't know. I can tell you whatever they were selling on this website, I wouldn't be buying. I can tell you that. But like I said, here we have testosterone in the top panel, and this is kind of the trajectory it takes over the lifespan. Here we have estrogen in the middle panel, which is what women suddenly and abruptly drop off around age 50. You see it's like a cliff for women. And then if you look at the androgens that come out of the adrenal glands, for both men and women, you see that it's a slow decline over the adult lifespan. That bottom panel might explain reductions in sexual interest. If you don't have any androgens in your bloodstream, you might not be interested in having sex. So one treatment for postmenopausal women when they report that they're not interested in sex is actually to give them androgens, testosterone, which seems a little counterintuitive. I thought the problem was the estrogen, but it turns out that a little addition of androgen can help with sexual desire after menopause. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to compare men and women on how their sexual responses change across the lifespan or across later adulthood. So during the excitement phase, women experience less lubrication and it takes longer for it to start to secrete, and the length and width of the vagina tend to decrease across this older age time, whereas men have a slower erection, and when they reach erection it's less firm. During the plateau phase, the orgasmic platform is less pronounced. What that means is that the uterus doesn't pull back as high as it used to, and the muscle tension isn't as great as it once was. So less tenting, less muscle tension. Men, less muscle tension also, and their testes don't elevate as high as they once did. It may take longer to move from the plateau phase for a man who's, let's say, 70 than it took him when he was, let's say, 20. There are fewer contractions for both sexes during orgasm, so it's perceived as a shorter orgasm. And the contractions might be painful for some women, and for men, the force of the ejaculation may be reduced. For some men, as they age, they may lose that sensation that they're about to ejaculate. It just sort of happens. The resolution phase can be quicker in both sexes, as in they didn't get as aroused during sex, so there's less resolution that needs to happen. But the refractory period tends to get longer in men as they age, so it'll take longer before he's ready to go again. All right, but sex and aging. All right. Among sexually active women between the ages of 40 and 90. So that's a pretty big age range, right? I mean, there's a lot of difference between a 40-year-old woman and a 90-year-old woman, but let's keep it in mind. Okay. What they find is that women who a lot of times are thought of as probably not that interested in sex because, gosh, you're starting to get older anyway, they're just as arousable. When they have sex, they're just as satisfied with their sexual activity as they had been when they were younger. They report that they were able to lubricate easily and adequately. So this concern that there will be less lubrication doesn't seem to be borne out. They reach orgasm reliably, easily, and satisfyingly. So for most women in this study, the changes didn't really interfere, the changes in their body didn't really interfere with their pleasure during sex. So hopefully this is a final and last happy comment about what is waiting people in their old age, sexually satisfying lives with orgasms and everything. So, all right, enough on development. I will see you guys in the next chapter.